Hi everyone. Thanks you all for coming, and it's been great hearing like all the new pitches and sort of business pitches that people have brought through. But personally, I'm not like a great businessman kind of guy. I really like hate like the economics and all that stuff. But I'm really for me, sort of my focus on the environment has always been sort of advocacy based, and this is just a few things that I've sort of done for like my community and around the school. I co-founded the environmental club at my school, and we've managed to, obviously this year has been quite kind of tough to sort of get into contact with all the principals and higher ups, but we've managed to install the sorting bins in all classrooms at the school. So we used to only have like one pretty bad trash can, but now we have sort of three separate ones for, papers, for food, and for just general waste. So that, I think, helps the oceans, especially with the sort of plastic pandemic going on. And I am also a member of the Student Voice Network, and I was an editor in their Green magazine. So a few months ago, I think a month and a half ago, the first issue was released, and I was one of the contributors who wrote one of the articles. And yeah, especially over the past couple of years, I've been more and more passionate about sort of getting my voice out, because I'm not like, some sort of great scientist. I don't know all the theory about the ocean, or, like all the animals or all the coral reef stuff. But I think one thing that we can all do is sort of have a voice and, tell people about, what's going on. So yeah, so the issue I want to focus on is pretty much everything that our ocean is going through. Like all aspects of our ocean are sort of under siege. And, we've got ocean warming here. The IPCC sort of estimates that, the ocean has heated a lot for the past 40 years. And as a result, sea levels have risen like a ton. So you can see the stat on the screen there. 1.6 millimeters per year since 1900. That's 19.2 centimeters. So if you were standing on a beach right next to the ocean, now the water would be up to your shins. And with the increasing rate of sort of climate change and global warming, within a few decades, it'll probably be up to your knees. So if you can just imagine that, that's pretty bad. And we've also got a lot of other issues like ocean acidification, which is a result of increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We've got plastic pollution, and 100,000 marine animals die every year from just plastic being chucked into the seas. And we've also got oil leaks, gasolines, which especially for marine animals with fur, like sea otters, they need their fur, and their fur has like special material that helps them insulate in the really like deep and cold ocean, but the oil sort of completely get rid of that insulation. So a lot of these animals die of hypothermia and stuff like that. And when fish and other animals sort of inhale the oils, it might not be lethal, but they will develop some pretty bad conditions. And also for people who might be fishing and eating them, these oils that they have inhaled will then affect their health. So that's also a very sort of poor issue that not many people focus on. That's one of my focuses of my project. So as I've sort of mentioned, my focus is a lot on advocacy and getting voice out, and possibly doing a lot of fundraising. And so I was trying to find data on what sort of climate issues or what sort of environmental issues that people care the most about, but there wasn't any. So instead I went to school and I did a survey of 60 people, including some teachers, some students. And basically here's what we got. We've got 54 out of 60 people say that climate change is the most important issue. So, climate change, global warming, and 6 people said others. So, I mean, I don't even remember what these others are, but basically like a pretty huge majority of people say that climate change is the most pressing environmental issue of our time. And then I asked a further question. So for those who said climate change, and for those who didn't say climate change, I also did this question with them. Just what are the worst effects of climate change that they can think of? And we've got like a pretty huge majority of people here saying that bushfires are the worst, because obviously this year we've had some pretty terrible bushfires in Australia. And even a few months ago, I think in California, there was like bushfires that possibly even rivaled the scale that we had here. And some people said hot weather, which I think is a questionable choice, but sure. And we've also got other natural disasters, which includes tsunamis, hurricanes, landslides. And we've got 10 people who said ocean related stuff like ocean warming or ocean acidification. And so what I want to point out here is that when we talk about environmental change, when we talk about climate change, and when we talk about the most pressing environmental issues of our time, I feel like the ocean is not often the first choice for many people because um, it doesn't seem as pressing for most people because, for example, bushfires are a much more urgent threat for most people, especially in our country, because the direct impact of global warming, like with the property damage and with the natural disasters, that can affect like farmers' harvest, or that can affect, travel, that can affect people's health directly, sort of make like ocean issues sort of fade into the background. And most people don't live directly next to the coast, so they're not aware of issues like sea level rising. They're not afraid of, their homes getting flooded. And also, most people just don't recognize the interconnected nature of a lot of different climate issues, because when you think about it, the bushfires are caused by global warming, and global warming is warming our oceans. Global warming is, caused by greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is causing the ocean to acidify. So all these issues are sort of interconnected, but people don't really realize that. So when we talk about climate change a lot, when we talk about environmental issues a lot, people sort of throw the ocean out the window, and they like to focus on, people are dying from bushfires, which is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to focus on, but I would just like to bring more ocean related stuff into question. Because take coral reefs, for example. How many people would actually know what coral reefs do if you sort of went onto the street and asked them? Like coral reefs, I'm guessing that people here probably know a bit more about coral reefs, that they prevent coastline erosion, they provide habitats for a lot of marine life. But if you go on the street and ask, like, random people, they'll probably say they look pretty, and they might know that they're dying, but they won't know that why it's important and why it's important to preserve them. So I was thinking about how to get people to care more about the ocean in general and all its issues. And so I sort of went first to tried and trusted methods. So we've got, documentaries and shows, we've got TV ads, we've got interviews and stuff, sort of all this mainstream sort of media stuff, especially on the television. And but I sort of questioned their effectiveness because obviously people like Steve Irwin or David Attenborough, they've done some really great works trying to get the message out about how Earth is sort of dying. But sort of there's no direct communication with the audience. So a lot of the times it's sort of like you watch the show, you have that moment of sort of revelation when you're like, oh, this is really bad. And then after you watch it, you go to sleep, and then you forget about it the next morning. And also, especially with interviews on news networks and stuff, there's so many agendas involved, because we all know that the media is biased one way or the other, politically, socially, and especially with the questions they ask or the questions that people sort of do. It's just there's sort of agendas, and people can't really talk as directly as they would like to about the issue at hand. So I thought mainstream media was not a great way to sort of reach new audiences, because like I explained, it's just not. And so I sort of went to the more sort of new wave of media stuff. And so here's really where my idea comes together. So especially over the past 2 years, a lot of independent creators have popped up, and they're sort of like the new wave celebrities of our time. Like, instead of having Hollywood celebrities that do movies, we've got people who make videos on YouTube, people who stream on platforms like Twitch. And I think they are much more receptive to these issues, and they are also much more in tune with their audience. And especially in 2020, where we've had so many social issues, such as, the police in America, the bushfires here and in California, we've had so many issues, and sort of we've seen a surge of content creators who have started to advocate for, various social and environmental issues of our time. And I've got a couple of examples here. So here was, I think this was in January 2019. This was a streamer based in the UK called H Bomber Guy, I think. And essentially what he did was he did a 57-hour stream consecutively, and he raised $340,000 for transgender sort of rights in this organization. So yeah, he streamed for more than 2 days straight, and he raised a lot of money, and he had a lot of guests on, and they were sort of talking about it. And it was, a huge thing. It made a big splash in sort of mainstream media even. And I'm pretty sure he got on TV in the UK as well. And this one, I think possibly a lot of people will know about this one. This is Mr. Beast. He is sort of this really, really popular real life kind of stuff YouTuber. He likes to do all these crazy things. And one of the most crazy things he did, this was in October 2019, where he started this, well, he partnered with this organization called Team Trees. And basically their plan was to plant 10 million trees by 2020, I think. And so far, so basically it was $1 of donations equals one tree. And so far they've raised $22 million and 7.1 million trees have been planted. So we've got a picture here about who has donated. We've got the CEO of Shopify who donated $1 million and won just to sort of be on the first on the leaderboard. We've got Elon Musk, who is CEO of Tesla. We've got the CEO of, all these big companies. We've got Plants vs. Zombies, which is the game that everyone knows about. And yeah, so you can see sort of the power of content creators to attract mass scale donations and mass scale sort of awareness on a scale that I don't think TV and mainstream media has really done at all and like ever. And we've got an example of someone who is sort of using these platforms to sort of do some good. So this is US Congresswoman. She is the representative of New York's 14th district, and basically the US Congress she's in the lower house, which is sort of the lower house of their version of parliament. And basically she went on Twitch, partnered with all these streamers just to tell people to vote, because obviously voting is sort of like a huge thing in America, especially with the election coming up. And she essentially played the role of a normal streamer to tell people to vote, even though she is a government official. You don't really see government officials doing stuff like this, but she is sort of this really young and progressive woman, and she's recognized the value of having these people play with her and getting the message out to their huge audiences. I think her own stream peaked at around 500,000 viewers, like concurrently. So at one time there was 500,000 viewers watching, and the other streams, I think it added up to around 700,000 viewers, just like at one time, not counting like people who left, people who joined later. Just at one time, there was 700,000 people watching their streams. So so this is sort of what my project is. I want to be using the platforms of these content creators, and I want to get the message about oceans out. We have already seen that we can get the message out, especially with the amount of people that care about environmental justice these days. We can see that Team Trees was a huge success. And basically, I want to recognize the value of these independent creators and their more personal connection with their often young audiences, because this is actually kind of related to Ocean Youth, because I think what Ocean Youth has done so well is sort of you guys have brought our young group of people in, and you have all these activities, and you've sort of taken like a hands-on approach. With content creators, maybe it's not quite as hands-on, but it is to a huge, like more wider audience. And they don't have the same sort of screen that celebrities usually set about like their social media. Like they don't have people managing their social media. They sort of just tweet whatever they want on there. And, they don't run it as much like a business. And I think that is possibly the most appealing point of these content creators, is that they seem like real humans, instead of, you go on the news, you see an interviewer that just asks questions and doesn't really do anything else. So my plan is to reach out to them for appearances, to partner with, organizations related to the ocean, whichever issue it is, and to reach out for them for an appearance in a video, whether it's a casual chat. I think actually the more casual, the better, because with the young audience that these people have, I think if you want to make it a really formal sort of thing, it wouldn't really work. So, for an appearance in the video, whether it's just a chat or maybe you can even take part in some of the videos, and they're really receptive to good causes like this, because they don't have, an agency who sort of dictates what they do. When they see a good charity, they will, be very receptive to participating with it. And when we go on these videos, when we go on the platforms of these creators, I want to tell stories, because I don't want to just have numbers going on, because numbers don't inspire people. We've got a quote from the CEO of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and he said that education, experiences, and the stories you tell are the bets you will place. No one has ever made a decision based on number. So you can bring numbers into your story, what I would like to do when we go on these videos is to tell stories with numbers, but also have an emotional impact, because especially with young people, I think to sort of appeal to like their emotion and sense of, justice, because they want justice for the environment, they want justice for themselves and their own future. I think that is how we are going to get more people to recognize that the oceans are under siege, and that is how we're going to get more people to donate, to become aware of this, and sort of create this new wave of sort of, it's almost like ocean youth in a way, but just on a massive scale. And I would like one specific organization at one time, because I think having a concrete goal encourages participation and especially donations, because if you're just talking about the ocean generally, it doesn't really seem like you're tackling any specific issue and people aren't as inclined to, donate. Why does this help? So we reach out to a huge impressionable audience, which conventional forms of media can't reach. And we have the help of independent creators who are much more in tune with their audience. So the advocacy will have a much more intimate feel. It will feel more genuine, and it will tell more people basically that this is an issue that you should care about and you should, help prevent or help improve. And most people watching are young, so we can make more ocean youth, just not necessarily in Australia or not necessarily in any one place. We can make more young people who care about the ocean. And how viable is this? So this is, I think, one of my major selling points. I know I said I'm not a good businessman, but there's really no cost to doing this, because it's not like you're contacting some Hollywood celebrity to do like an ad, because that will cost a ton of money, especially if you want to get someone famous to do it. But these creators, they would do these things for free because these are issues that they genuinely care about. And especially with like the fundraising opportunities, so basically you're pretty much gaining money and not actually paying any money, because as long as you reach out to these YouTubers and streamers and you sort of put your donation link there and you tell a compelling story, people will donate to you. You don't have to, pay any money to get the word out to them, but they will donate to you. So it's already began. So this was an event that happened this month. This was sort of like a huge event with a lot of, Minecraft streamers, and I think there were around like 300 people in this event. And they sort of got together and raised money for a bunch of different charities. I think each content creator picked one charity, and basically whatever money they raised would go to that charity. So it's not like it's a big, organization, or it's not a big event. I think MC Ultimate is ran by just two people. And they put together the whole event. They invite all these creators, and these creators come on, they sort of play games and they talk about the charities and they have a great time, and the money goes to charity. So I've actually contacted these organizers about the next season. I mean, it's not like a huge step, but I contacted these organizers, and I thought that maybe next season they could do sort of a marine focus season. I didn't really give them any specific charities to do, but I thought like just having them find their own charities and do their own research would be much better than trying to impose sort of our agenda onto them. And they're relatively small. Look at how much money was raised. I think this was over a 3 or 4 hour event, and $23,000 in total. I think season 2 was even more. Season 2 had 34,000 and season 1 had like 31,000 or so. So you can see that, these unconventional media forms that maybe not everyone, especially people who are a little bit older than our generation, are aware of. And they have tremendous power to make change just by talking. And so yeah, what do I need? I need interested organizations to partner with me. And I mean, why would you not be interested? You are getting free exposure and free money. Why would you not be interested? And preferably, I would like representatives from these organizations who are more familiar with the world of streamers and YouTubers, because we want to seem as relatable as possible. We want to sort of get the casual air going. We want to, encourage people to make donations, but do so without feeling like we are specifically telling them to, go donate, donate, donate. We don't want to be hammering this message, but we want to sort of just drop it in there, just remind people that, this is for a good cause and people will donate. So yeah, that's my project. So basically all I really need is organizers to sort of back me, because myself, I don't have that much clout. I don't have that much influence, online. I actually did do sort of a charity stream on my channel, because I used to, post gaming videos online on YouTube, and I did a charity stream earlier this year, and I have only 1,000 subscribers, but some people watched, and we managed to raise like I think it was $200 or so for bushfires. So you can see that I'm really small. No one knows me, but people care about these issues. And when you are online and when you're talking directly to your audience, people will be more inclined to donate, and people will be more inclined to at least recognize these issues are actually issues and not just things that we shouldn't care about. So yeah, that's my project. And hopefully everyone enjoyed the presentation and sort of got something from it.
Well done, Max. For those of you
Well
who
done.
don't know, Max is in year 12. He's been juggling exams, assessments, online learning, and Ocean Youth, and you come up with this. This is amazing. Well done, Max.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. I feel like I'm in the old category though, because I was like, what is MC? I was like, what is MCU? Okay. So I like playing games. If you need someone to play some games, I will do it. But I'm a bit old. Although Melissa's written in here to check out the Affect the Change Facebook page and YouTube channel. Apparently they're doing something similar, which is really cool. But what a crazy concept. I mean, Tiana and I probably only know it from the outside with like TikTok, and you hear like of that skateboarder going viral drinking the juice or whatever to that, what song was it doesn't matter, but anyway, it's crazy. It's a crazy world we're not part of, and I think it's something that we would love to see conservation pop up more in, definitely, and marine conservation. Claudette?
You are so on the money, Max. It is unbelievable. At the moment, so this is all about why I started Ocean Youth. So I used to run the Sea Life Trust, which was the conservation organisation associated with the aquariums. And we would get visitors in of varying knowledge of oceans and ocean health and so on. And it was an extremely challenging prospect to educate on the importance of oceans. Even though they're looking at beautiful things, it was all deemed entertainment rather than sort of education for conservation. The mainstream is so where it's at, because we cannot be fiddling at the edges anymore. We need massive change, and really quickly. So what you're proposing is exactly on the money, and do not underestimate yourself as a person of influence to be able to do this, because to me, when I listen to you and I see your ideas and intelligence and how you want to go about it, you are totally the person to do this. And I think people couldn't resist, partnering with you or collaborating with you. And it's only a matter of time before you get followers and influence grows and so on and so forth. But you are the right person to do this. Absolutely, 100%. And I love it. I think it's exactly what we need.
You could go on Elliot's website as an influencer. I love this. And I was actually thinking, and Tiana will relate to this, Max, you spoke about not using stats and numbers, all the time. Being from an environmental education background and presenting background, that is exactly how you go about it. You've got the skills, you've got the understanding already of how to tell a story, and it is about making that impact and that connection. And I know Zoos Victoria really run under a connect, understand, act sort of module. Making that connection, giving the information helps them to act and work in that way. And that's how we always spoke to people at the aquarium, and how we speak to people in environmental education. And you're the man for it. You could be the face of this movement online.
I felt like I was watching a TEDx talk, those really inspiring TEDx talks that you can't look away from. I felt like I was watching one when you were talking, Max. You're a fantastic speaker.
Yeah, I didn't actually have a speech. I was just, I had some notes and I was going off the top of my head, because I thought whenever I sort of write a speech, it starts to sound a little bit too mechanical. So I just thought I would, sort of wing it and hope for the best.
But I think that's the beauty, is that you were telling your own story of how you want to influence change. And I think that's what got all of us, you certainly sold me from the beginning. And I think that's what's going to capture that mainstream mainstream audience. I know certainly myself, I can get a little bit ranty, and because out of frustration, like you just want to shake people, but that's not the way to go. So I think how your approach and your way, I think are very influenceable. I think you'll make a lot of change.
And Max, in the comments there, yeah, Riverkeepers already want to work with you. So there's your first one that you can go ahead with. So we might get you to reach out to Anthony at some other time. Just on a side note too, Max, you did mention how almost redundant celebrity are. And there's quite a funny story from a few years ago before Tiana started working with us. In an interview, Taylor Swift mentioned that she was scared of starfish. Do you remember this, Claudette? And so we put on this big social media campaign to try and get Taylor Swift to Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium for the Sea Life Trust charity to touch a starfish, to touch a sea star.
She had a phobia of urchins. So we challenged, she had a phobia of urchins. So we were trying to challenge her to come in and cure her urchin phobia.
And it didn't work.
It got some traction, but she didn't end up something happened. I can't remember. She didn't come, but it was such a cute campaign nonetheless. We had urchins, you know, dressing themselves and all sorts of things going on to try and personalize these animals and certainly get some traction in a very cute, you know, different kind of way.
I think I nearly took an urchin to the Taylor Swift concert. But anyway, it just shows how, you know, unreachable that is. Whereas, like you said, these people that are working in this realm, they're us. They're the normal average person, just with a whole lot of people that they can influence and reach. So I think this is a great idea. For everyone that's mentioning the Hemsworth, I may know a few of them, but we're not going to reach out to them just
May
yet.
have done some private tours at the aquarium, but let's not talk about
Yeah, Tiana might have a few stories for you guys. But thank you, Max. Winging it is the way to go, as Taryn said.